Thank you. I do wish to speak to the amendment and speak against it. I do not support the amendment. I think we do need to be really clear about the reason why we're consulting with our community, and I think it's really important that we send a clear signal now as to what that objective is. And I certainly think we should be maintaining the capacity to provide the current number of social housing units in our council's portfolio and to act as a catalyst for the provision of at least 1,000 additional units in the city. Selling things off and leaving it to the market will not address this problem. And in fact, I do take exception to some of the comments that are made about being good governors. Good governance is not about giving away 113 units to the government for no cost. That wasn't a sensible decision. That's actually cost us. So I think it's hard to listen to people that make comments about us being good governors when we know that some of the track record is about giving things to government and getting nothing in return in terms of our housing. But I really welcome the fact that government is working with us on housing. We need their support. We need the community support. And we do need, in some cases, I think the private sector support to look at how we address this serious issue. So I welcome us being really clear about what our objective is. It's really important, I think, that we consider this in light of the other things we do as a council. Why is it okay to use rates to subsidise professional sports and build huge stadiums for professional sports people and professional sports teams? Why is it okay to use rates to subsidise car parking buildings? There's other questions that we can ask around how we spend our money, and we'll go through and do that as part of our long-term plan. But I think we have put some options forward in terms of dealing with our social housing issues going forward. There are different views as to what's wrong with the model, but the one thing we know in this city, the one thing that is crystal clear, is leaving housing to the market at a time when we needed housing the most. The market has been a complete and utter failure. It has ripped people off, it has acted with greed, and it has made the people who are the most vulnerable for the earthquake even worse off after the earthquake. Housing is one of the key priorities that this council and this city face, and we have to start addressing the fact that leaving it to the market is no longer good enough. This is long overdue in my opinion. I wish the previous council had agreed to put money into fixing the social housing sooner. It didn't, but this is a new council and it is sending a clear signal that we are committed to doing something about it. So I strongly support the amended objective that we have to maintain our social housing stock in this city. I strongly am against the proposed amendment. I do not believe that this will be to our advantage.
Thank you. David.
Thank you. I'm going to vote in favour of the amendment. At our last meeting, we did put all the options on the table, and I'm firmly of the belief that we've been given now a statement of proposal that does vary that direction from that meeting, and I'm very keen to see all the options are considered, and that this particular statement of proposal, I believe, does actually, and I agree with Councillor Goff, it does steer people in a particular direction. So I will be voting against the amendment. I am very supportive of...
You'll be voting for the amendment.
Sorry, for the amendment. Voting for the amendment, but I am supportive of the notion that as a city we need to be doing something about housing for the affordable housing and affordable rentals, but not through the mechanism I think that's been proposed. There are a number of options that I believe that when it goes out to consult, the public gets the opportunity to consult, and using the whole 20 we may come up with some viable opportunities that gives council a positive way to go forward. So I'll be voting for the amendment.
Andrew?
Yeah, I'll be voting against the amendment. Any changes, small changes that have been made to the document this morning were to ensure that the document more accurately reflects the work that the Deputy Mayor has been doing since February or earlier, and ensures that the document in fact reflects the conversation that we're wanting to have with our community in line with that work. So I believe that the amended statement, the one that was first put up prior to the amendment that we're considering at the moment, more accurately reflects the conversation that we're intending having in line with the work that the Deputy Mayor and the staff have done. And I certainly commend the Deputy Mayor in coming up with what I consider to be some interesting and innovative solutions to a problem that we know we've got, which is the financial sustainability of our existing social housing model. I absolutely agree with Councillor Johansson that the private model has failed to deliver suitable housing solutions at a time of need when there have probably been more vulnerable people in terms of housing than at any other time. We look at a situation where we've got escalating and outrageous rents. We look at a situation where the housing quality in the private market has been allowed to deteriorate because people will live in houses that they would normally not consider living in. And we're looking at a situation where, in fact, there isn't enough private rental property to go round. We've got people essentially bidding on the doorstep for rental properties in that private market. So clearly there's a need for us to continue to provide social housing. What we're doing here is going out with a number of options to have a conversation with the community on the way that we can continue to do that. And the result will be a conversation with the community that allows us to make some good, sound decisions on options which are financially and socially viable, financially and socially sustainable.
Ellie?
I'm going to support the amendment. I haven't seen the financials around this late change. I think it is leading, and I think it's unnecessary to have this addition. The addition's a distraction from the proposal, as Councillor East has said we all agreed to and were unanimous on at our last meeting when we discussed this. I'd just like to say that the market hasn't failed, actually. It's done exactly what it should do, but that isn't a reason why we need to put in something as leading as the late addition to this proposal. We've got to have faith in our constituents to contribute to this consultation without the lead that has been provided, so I will be supporting the amendment.
Pauline, then Vicky.
Thank you. I'll not be supporting the amendment. That was not the original intent. The intent was to address a recognised problem in our housing portfolio. The model worked for many, many years. I think it was around 1934 that the council, was that correct? Many years it worked. But something happened before our time. I don't want to get into that. Something happened, but we can make it work again. Housing is actually regarded as a sound investment. We're a council that can make things work. So the intent is about making things work. The intent is not about selling our social housing stock. And I think that our new amendment from this morning actually shows what we're trying to do. Thank you.
Vicky?
I just want to point out two quite significant features. I can't imagine why people would want to have taken out of the proposal that something is financially viable and sustainable. I'm struggling to understand that at any level. The other point that's in the other one talks about what we've actually are looking to sign up with the government in terms of the Housing Accord. And you'll be aware that at the bottom of the Housing Accord, it says that it's subject to a consultative process with the council, with the Christchurch community, etc. If it's not ratified, the parties agree that this accord will be at an end. And that puts at jeopardy the $75 million that the government is currently looking to spend in Wells Street and Colombo Street. So let's actually be quite clear what we are trying to achieve with this. We are trying to achieve the use of government money to build 2 major communities and possibly more, Wells, Colombo, possibly more. We are working with the government to get a community housing provider set up, and that's quite a unique situation, and we are allowed, are allowed to look at leasing housing units into that. That is not a usual situation for local government. So we are coming a long way along the Housing Accord, and the point of that is to join up all of the dots. The point of that is to join up all of the dots such that we are providing more housing. There is in the draft Housing Accord the need to provide at least 1,000 additional housing within the unit, not owned by us, but affordable or social housing that's owned by anyone. The point of that community housing provider is also that it acts as a catalyst, because the demand for housing is well and above, well in excess of the 2,649 units that we may end up owning. So we absolutely have to drive not only additional housing through catalysing the private sector, we need the government's money and cooperation to do this, and we need to work with community groups who are community housing providers. So the point of all of this is to join all sectors together to address the housing crisis that is in Christchurch. That's why those points are in there, because they are in the draft housing report.
So, well, I'm going to say a couple of words just to conclude the debate. And first of all, to just say how gratifying it is to be a mayor of a council where there can be different points of view, but expressed respectfully and intelligently around the council table. Not everyone has to agree with each other here, but actually how we've conducted this debate has been admirable. So I just want to really congratulate everyone for that. I want to particularly acknowledge the Deputy Mayor for the passion and effort that she has put into this project. It's more than a project. I've told her she now has to lead the delivery of it, and through the public consultation, she's not to go off into another big idea immediately. But I think that it just shows how, providing that level of energy is really important to getting things moving. It's extraordinary what's been able to be achieved over a relatively short space of time, and in that acknowledge also the Chair and the Deputy Chair, Glenn Livingston and Pauline Cotter, and the members of the Housing Committee for their involvement in that, and the staff. I'm sure that Ian had, dark hair at the beginning of this process. At least he hasn't actually pulled any out. I'm just reflecting on, I know how much the financial, the legal and the community housing have really come together to make this happen. And in a way, again, it's another example of working across the different components of the council, drawing them together to really focus on a solution. I'm not going to support the amendment. I agree with the philosophy that lies behind the changes that were introduced. I do believe that there has been... Now, I agree with Ali that the market is behaving exactly the way markets behave. Unfortunately, markets don't care about vulnerability. We do. And I think that I worry about allowing social housing to fall into the market, the private sector, and the reason for that is what happened in Auckland. You cannot get social housing anywhere near the city centre anymore. All of it was sold to the private sector, and of course they used the inflated land values in those areas in order to, create, apartment living near the centre of the city. And I also don't agree that councils have been excluded from the income-related rent subsidy in the way that they have, given that we met the objective that the government said that it wanted to secure by way of exclusion. So, maybe one day they might revisit that and see what a good job that we've done. I think this provides an opportunity for the people of Christchurch to say whether we want to be in this area. I believe the people of Christchurch will say that we should be, and I believe that they will find that we've got a unique combination of opportunities here that enable our portfolio to be financially viable and sustainable. It won't be just our portfolio in the future if this goes through because of the 49% requirement that sits there at the moment, but inviting other partners to join with us. I totally agree that with Councillor Buck, and that is that it gives us the chance to really enter into public-private partnership and also work with the community sector, with Ngāi Tahu, in a way that I think we haven't really had the opportunity to consider before. But none of those things are on the table unless we do this consultation. So I, for one, am very, very pleased that we are at this point. So I will put the amendment. All those in favour of the amendment say aye. Aye. Those opposed say no. No. All right, so we're going to have a vote. So I think we'll just, have we all set up for a vote? Yes. All right, so if you're a vote yes or no now. So the motion, the amendment is lost, and we'll now move on to the vote on the motion, which is as displayed. So I'll put that motion. All those in favour say aye. Aye. Those opposed say no. No. Should we have a vote? Yep, have another vote. And that's carried. So thank you very much. Thank you. And we'll move on to the next item on the agenda. Thank you very much.